If you ever ask yourself which F1 game is the greatest of all time, you're probably going to stumble upon one very specific title. Geoff Crammond's Grand Prix 4 is considered a masterpiece. Even after more than 2 decades, it's regarded as one of the best Formula 1 games to ever grace our beloved little hobby. Countless YouTube videos and articles have been dedicated to one of sim racing's most memorable releases, though you've got to wonder, is all this love and adoration just a case of the old rose-tinted glasses, or should you, in fact, try Grand Prix 4 for yourself in 2025? Let's find out, shall we? Looking back, Grand Prix 4 managed to impress right from the get-go. Simulating the 2001 Formula 1 World Championship with all of its teams, drivers, and circuits was a fine starting point, even if they were outdated by 2002. Symergy and Microprose still managed to stand out with the game's fantastic graphics, great sound design, a highly detailed damage model, or the immense prestige associated with the name Grand Prix. As we've talked about in the past, Grand Prix games were most often at the forefront of the genre, sharing the brunt of continuous evolution with Papyrus and their NASCAR adventures. Features like the comprehensive weather system, the aforementioned damage system, and such weren't born out of nowhere. They had been forged for about a decade, built on a reliable technical structure. Crammond was to code the driving physics all by himself, according to an old interview with PCGames.de, and it does feel like a tightly knit package with a very clear vision. From standing on the grid in a heat haze, waiting for the 5 red lights to go out, racing down to T1, shuffling about with beautiful V10 beasts. GP4 excels at simulating what a Grand Prix event feels like. Formula 1 races typically aren't dash sprints to the line defined by daredevil maneuvers. They're strategic battles, chess matches at 250 kph. Hang on, there we go, changed 2 lines in the config file. Worth it. Differing pit strategies and tire choice play into the experience just as much as your AI competitors racing you believably. Even now, many games would struggle to compete with the field of any given Crammond sim. Traffic jams and conga lines are almost never to be found. You can fight the AI tooth and nail, give them enough room, and they'll return such fairness in kind. Results may vary depending on your very own driving standards, but all things considered, they're consistent, predictable, yet challenging, flawed the way real F1 drivers happen to be when pushing their brutes. Schumacher, Hakkinen, Frentzen, and the rest of the grid will be fighting both you and each other throughout the event. Gaps between the drivers feel natural and add to a form of racing that isn't known for having aerodynamic monsters packed too closely. They might bump into each other from time to time or interpret Jimmy Broadbent's arrows as an open invite to a battle royale, yet compared to other projects, such images are the exception to a rule of consistency. In fact, AI racing is such a treat that many fans of the series simulate entire full-length races on YouTube. Projects in this vein only emphasize the immersion possible with GP4. If that wasn't impressive enough, the tracks look absolutely gorgeous. In the time before what we now know as laser scanned tracks, Symergy would utilize GPS data to build breathtakingly realistic race venues. Breathtakingly realistic for 2002, that is. Still, many circuits do hold up. Moreover, they managed to nail the visual vibe of any given Grand Prix weekend. The crowd fired up, waving their flags, banners all around the circuit, hustling in the wind, your very own race visible on multiple screens throughout the scenery, flashlights illuminating the stands, marshals running to the rescue of your stricken car. Run, Marshal! Run! Speaking of stricken machinery, both you and the rest of the grid can suffer numerous amounts of technical failures. Car and driver performance are realistic, so by the time you come across Juan Pablo Montoya stuck at the side of the road with plumes of smoke billowing out of his car, it's probably because his BMW V10 engine quit. A more likely outcome compared to some other teams that year. Your suspension can collapse, your water pump can decide to call it quits, oil can leak from the car, your throttle can get stuck, and so on. Another piece of this ever-growing puzzle of details immersing you in a Formula 1 festival. To be fair, most of these features weren't new for Grand Prix 4, from wet weather to technical malfunctions, editing driver names, TV graphics, fully animated pit crews, being able to damage your car through debris or by riding through gravel traps. GP4's list of features wasn't revolutionary, but their implementation was refined. What was revolutionary, or at least very helpful, was the so-called Gpedia in the main menu, a set of descriptions and explanations regarding the 101 of how to set up your ridiculously priced Prost. Mark Hemsworth, a former Arrows engineer, talks you through these basics in some sweet little video packages. This section alone goes to show the detail within and love behind the GP series. Setup options are thorough, providing you with a wonderful basis to turn your Minardi into a slightly less backmarkery box of a car. Or you could download some community setups online. I won't judge you, promise. None of these aspects by themselves would turn an F1 game into a masterpiece. Yet, in 2002, the combination of all of these made for a stellar time. Only your PC's potential lack of performance would have served as a hindrance at the gates of hardcore simulation heaven. However, provided any of you want to turn on the time machine for this, your first impression might be one of confusion and frustration. Say you're curious about GP4. You clicked on this video after all. You find a way to purchase the game because all of you are sweet summer children, and you install the game with its numerous patches and the beloved GPX patch. This piece of software can help with telemetry, it improves the TV graphics in game, and serves as a quick hub for all things GP4. You enter the game and you're confronted with an early 2000s excuse for user interface design. You click yourself through mildly confusing menus, wondering why everything is written in lowercase, only to realize that your controller or wheel of choice might not work. Mapping specific buttons to your wheel can serve as the next piece of tumultuous sim racing torture, as you're gonna have to map keyboard inputs to buttons on your steering wheel to, for instance, look left and right on track. Thank you, Geoff. Good job. Running GP4 on modern hardware is possible. Many still play the game to this day and use their trusty wheel or controller to experience the magic of 2000s V10 racing. It's just not as easy as it could be. These are my settings. They're not perfect, but I suppose they're serviceable for controlling the car without any driver aids. And the cars do feel awkward? Force feedback does exist, though it's not particularly detailed and very time-consuming to tune properly so that your wheel of choice doesn't feel too light or too heavy. The physics behind all of this do seem to hold up. Your car reacts as one would expect from nimble open-wheel racers of this generation. Grooved tires limit your grip, so even at high speeds, there's a good chance of chucking a car into the barrier. When you select individual car performance for your vehicle in GPX patch, things tend to get a bit more difficult, as proven by people like Ted Meat. Catching a car isn't impossible, it simply requires quick reactions. Not the easiest job in the world with vague force feedback at hand. Furthermore, in the case that your pedals are read as separate inputs, GP4 doesn't do that. In my case, I can combine the axes of my pedals to allow the game to read mine properly. Then again, not sure how it is for you, dear Overtake.gg viewer. Don't get me wrong, the feel of Grand Prix 4 is fine. It's not awful. You're not diving headfirst into F1 2009 arcade territory or anything. It's a bit soapy. That's one way of putting it. I promise, however, that once you're in the zone, it won't break your immersion. While controlling the car can take time to get used to, the same goes for how the racing looks. If any of you happen to enjoy F1 25 as a T-Cam connoisseur, let me introduce you to GP4 and its utterly confusing imagery. Your wheel rotation will be recognized in cockpit view to some extent, whereas the T-Cam will only show you the driver's bitmap hands move 90 degrees each way. A small detail, I know, but not ideal. You will stumble upon many such quirks. Pit lane activities are semi-automated, forcing you to move your car while limiting you in how much you can do. Making setup changes in session requires you to enter a menu, make a change, and then reload the entire circuit every single time. Similarly, you can't restart a race at the press of a button. You have to save the session before you start the race, and when you happen to show the driving skills of the legendary Tarzo Marquez, you have to escape, reload the race, and start from scratch. Championship seasons can glitch out, so maybe using your own Excel sheet is a more viable and safe option when considering a full-length season. Fuel depletion levels can't be adjusted, and the AI difficulty only consists of set levels instead of a percentage-based system. A plethora of mods can provide endless hours of entertainment for fans of historic Formula 1. On the flip side, installing and creating projects or custom liveries for Grand Prix 4 is ridiculously complicated compared to previous entries or image space contemporaries. And no matter the season, no matter the series, you can only add 22 cars and 17 tracks to your game at a time. So then, should you try Grand Prix 4 in 2025 with all the ups and downs, all the problems, all the potential? Well, it depends on what you're after, really. For those of you who want to dive headfirst into early 2000s Formula 1, an era defined by refueling, groove tires, screaming engines, technical failures, buzzing crowds, lively circuits, and proper TV production, Grand Prix 4 is the game for you. To quote Empty Box, oftentimes we talk about feel in sim racing. That feel isn't in the steering wheel, it isn't in the physics, it is in what a race is, and GP4 captures the essence of what a race is like no other racing sim. I can't help but agree, 100%. The AI alone makes it stand out, even amongst modern attempts at drawing you into the world of monoposto racing. Their aggression and competence will immerse you in no time. Just remember to plan in some time to get everything up and running. You'll need patience and practice. If you are after a quick fix for the F1 bug, I'm not sure Grand Prix 4 is your best bet. X86 GP2 offers a similar, mildly more retro adventure with fewer hoops to jump through. A career mode a la Codemasters is nowhere to be found, nor is there a proper modern multiplayer. F1 fans looking for a retro sandbox are going to have an easier time dealing with F1 Challenge, R Factor 1, or Grand Prix 2, and those seeking a high-class driving sim might feel disappointed with the simplistic, often befuddling force feedback. The way GP4 feels on a wheel isn't a deal breaker, it's just not the draw. The racing experience, the single-player Grand Prix experience, that is the draw. And in case you ever want to feel like a stressed out Mika Häkkinen in 2001, there is no better game to give you that form of escapism than Grand Prix 4. There's this lovely, cheesy catchphrase they use throughout marketing: nothing gets closer. And when we're talking about 2001 specifically, this high-octane era of F1 right at the edge of what was possible, it might actually be true. What do you think? What's your recent experience with Grand Prix 4? Do you want to try this piece of sim racing history for the first time? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff. And as always, keep racing. Bye-bye.